We're about to get started here on the BC Ale Trail panel, so thank you very much for joining us. If you don't know me, I'm Ken Beattie, the Executive Director. I get the pleasure of moderating this panel today. As we go along, we're just going to have everyone introduce themselves as we go, save some time. So I just wanted to kind of give you a bit of a background on the BC Ale Trail. Originally, when we were, if you recall, the liquor policy review of 2013, we went in with a really humble, I mean, when I started, I spent the first kind of 18 months putting my hand up saying, hey, we're over here, we're an industry, you should talk to us, because they talked to the Restaurant Association, they talked to CAMRA about industry things, but they didn't ever talk to the industry. We didn't have a voice. So that was one of the key mandates to start. And when we finally got invited to the YAP review, we were very humble. We had three kind of buckets. One was a taxation thing, one was a marketing thing, and I won't go into too much detail, but you can figure those out. They both have checked the boxes, so that's good. But the third was the tourism piece. We knew that we had a world-class food culture here. We knew that we had a world-class wine culture here. And we knew, though not everyone knew, but we knew we had a world-class beer culture here. And so in order to accelerate that, we asked for the government's help. And what you're about to see is the fruit of that labor, let's say. And so when we started with 7 trails, and we've now expanded to 18 trails. We have 116 breweries currently on it, and we have a number of private retail stores, ancillary businesses. Then we have about another 100 partners who are in the communities who work with their local DMOs. And we have 30 DMOs who are our destination marketing organizations who are our key. So we've got we've got 4 panelists who are going to give you an insight into that and what their specialty is. So I'm going to start with Carol-Lynne Michaels.
It's on now. Thank you. Yes, thank you so much, Ken. Yeah, I'm Carol-Lynne, and I am a project producer at a company called The Number Creative, and we're one of the few co-founding partners of the BC Ale Trail campaign. So it started in 2016, it launched in October. So the Sunshine Coast Tourism, DMO, Tourism Association, Spinnakers, Joe Weeb, a content writer and craft beer revolution author, the BC Craft Brewers Guild, of course, and Sunshine Coast, The Number, Spinnakers, Joe. So yeah, we were a collaboration. And now, as Ken was saying, we've really gathered some momentum, and the province has recognized craft beer as its own tourism sector. So that's a freaking huge win. So we're very excited to have that leading into year 5 of the campaign. So my role is as a project producer at The Number. I'm basically coordinating a lot of stuff. But lucky for me, I'm actually also a craft beer enthusiast. And if anyone knows Ryan Bangma or Victoria, I'm the girl that will always go in and order, please, can I have 4 tiny beers? And I'll just try everything. So I'm very grateful to be on this campaign.
Could you tell us how the BC Ale Trail works in terms of it with the Destination BC application? Mm-hmm. Is that feedback or is that me?
It is feedback, yeah.
Okay. It's the plate in my head.
No.
I'll go over here.
Okay.
Myself. Yeah, in terms of the Destination BC application and how it works between DMOs and the partner breweries.
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, the Ale Trail is that definitive resource for BC craft beer, and I'm gonna say kind of what it is, just in case anyone isn't aware of it already. But basically, it offers self-guided, suggested itinerary stops for consumers traveling in the province. And an Ale Trail will have a series of breweries and activities and local businesses for them to explore. So it's connecting breweries with restaurants, tap houses, hotels, cafes, and that like supernatural outdoor experience in BC. And it's a cooperative marketing program, which means that it's the partner funding that we receive is matched by the province, Destination BC. So it really goes so much farther to align with the tourism sector as well. So we're bringing more people into the province. But yes, to answer your question, so we're working with the destination marketing organizations, your tourism associations. We're working with the guilds and hundreds of participating breweries like many of you, and hopefully soon to be many more. And we are targeting travelers across BC, Alberta, Washington, Oregon, California, and more. And by building those relationships with those 30 DMOs so far, and the breweries were able to create marketing campaigns and activations that are highlighting the stories in your communities. And then just another little sort of technical note, because I'm more the technical person, but in order to participate in the BC Ale Trail, the brewers do have to be members of the BC Craft Brewers Guild.
So what does it look like inside the marketing machine year-round?
Yeah. It's a big one. So it's basically a big old integrated marketing machine. And we're amplifying, as I said, the stories of the craft beer communities, what's going on in your communities, what's happening at your breweries, and we're giving voice to all those unique stories happening there. The mechanisms that we're actually using to bring tourism eyeballs and dollars to your region are the web platform, so bcaletrail.ca. There's a mobile app. We're doing print and digital media ad campaigns. We have travel media, as you'll hear about in a minute, merchandise, events, on-site activations, and then, of course, social media. So if you're already involved, you'll just want to tag BCL Trail and use the hashtag ExploreBC. And then another technical thing, the campaign runs actually from April 1st to March 31st. It's just as a little fiscal year there, according to the province.
And how would partners get involved? And what's the investment?
So essentially what we do is we reach out to the DMOs in the September-October timeframe, and we submit the application to Destination BC in the end of November. We hear back in February, and then we get everything going and start spending dollars April 1st. But basically, I'm going to get on the phone with everybody on the Tourism Association side of things, and Monica at the Craft Brewers Guild is also on all of the calls, and we're figuring out from the Tourism Association standpoint what kind of stuff they want to create, if they're in for the baseline investment, and if they have any new breweries opening up. So historically, it's been a lot of hearing that through the Tourism Association, and now that the Guild is taking on a lot more of the leadership of the campaign, now that we're a recognized sector, we're going to see a lot more integration between the breweries and the DMOs, and through the BC Ale Trail connection there via the Guild. So we'll be able to have a lot more things coming up from the grassroots level, even more so than the DMO can offer. Basically, yeah, the DMOs and the brewery baseline investment creates this pool of funds that fuels our year-long marketing campaigns and tactics. And then there are also add-on tactics, which I'll mention in a second, but those are initiatives that are funded separately but are still eligible for matched marketing dollars. And those are things that focus on a specific ale trail or a specific group of partners in a community. So that's a bit more focused on you as opposed to the global marketing machine that's driving awareness and bringing tourism to British Columbia to taste our beer.
In terms of those add-ons, how would you initiate that? They're separate or they're part of it, but they're standalone?
There are certain, yeah. So the global campaign covers all of the it's like the top of the funnel. It's creating awareness about BC's experiences in BC's craft beer. And so there's the pool of funds through the baseline investment. But then you can also elect through either approaching us directly or approaching your DMO. We do encourage you to work with your tourism association to say, hey, we want to do something that focuses on our region specifically this year. So things that we have on the menu essentially are social media influencer trips, long-form story content in the way of it's called a tasting note. I'll show you later if you ask. Long table dinners are an option too. We can run contests through the Untapped app, targeting specific geographic areas. And then also some of the other tactics are additional photo and video. So if you want to get some updated imagery and also update your Ale Trail video, that's something that you want to invest in because it's doubling your dollars, and we'll get some refreshed content that you can then use as well as part of the marketing machine. Add-ons. Yeah, there's a lot of them. If you want to do something and it's an eligible marketing tactic in the eyes of the province, we can make it happen.
And we'll be able to address some of those add-ons and what we're doing later as we go down. Probably Kim is the expert. She's the most.
She'll give some good examples.
She'll have some very good examples. So we're going to move over to Deirdre Campbell with Beattie Tartan, no relation. And Deirdre works at the Beattie Tartan works on our PR for us during the campaign throughout the year. Has been there from the start. And so if you could just explain kind of what Beattie Tartan does for the Ale Trail.
Absolutely. So we're as was mentioned, we try and amplify your stories, but through earned media. So compared to paid media where you actually buy that ad, this is through travel writers, lifestyle writers, beer writers. We work a lot on bringing them in and try and get those articles so that that have a lot of trust built into them. So when people read that, they're actually more likely to believe it than they would have paid ads. So that's why it's got so much value when we talked about earned media. I can't really see you guys, but how many do use PR and media relations as part of their own marketing? Yeah, not very many of you. And this is an opportunity for you to do it without having to take advantage of being part of the BC Ale Trail, because it's all that we do for them is we come up with stories, and we need your stories. The BC Ale Trail is obviously the hero brand when we're going out there and marketing to travel writers, and we work closely. I'll touch in a bit about I know you have some questions, so I'll stop so you can ask those questions. But yeah, so our job is really to work on that media relations side of things and help get your stories out to the media so that they're excited and want to write about you as part of the BC Ale Trail. That just only adds to the story of the BC Ale Trail.
So explain the process on how they take advantage of that, the members.
Absolutely. So again, we talk about the destination marketing organization. So each destination marketing organization, whether it's Tourism Vancouver, Tourism Kelowna, or the regional, what we call PMOs, provincial marketing organizations, each of them have a very strong media relations team. They in turn are looking for stories. So that's why we work so closely. If you have a story that you feel needs to be told about your brewery, about your region, please, you can either go through your DMO directly, or you can email us at media@bcaletrail.ca, and we'll make sure we kind of reach out to you on a regular basis and hopefully have a chance to meet many of you during the session to gather those stories. And then we work with the DMO to help get those stories out. And I'll talk a little bit later about where we're sending those stories, but it's critical. And we know that each of you have a lot of new things going on. You're trying new things. You've got news that you want to share. Don't worry if you think it's newsworthy or not. We'll help you decide if it is. But it's really important we get those stories. And I'll tell you in a minute why it's becoming quite competitive out there.
Could you tell us kind of maybe use some examples that you've seen recently or that you would recommend? Here's some best practices on what you need to look at.
Yeah, well, Kim is definitely what she's doing. But so to back up a little bit, so we also have other clients, and one of our clients is Destination Canada. They have determined that culinary tourism is one of their pillars that they're focusing on, both domestically and internationally, and in the U.S., which is our biggest market. So obviously, the BC Ale Trail is a signature experience of that. I don't think we're officially signature, but we definitely are seen as a best practice in the country. A lot of people are taking notice. So that's why we really want to make sure that BC Ale Trail is, the one that's heard of the most, as other regions across Canada are starting to push their craft beer movement as well. So best practices include, we often go out with seasonal. What are some of the seasonal beers that are coming out? What are some of the new trends that we're seeing in craft beer? Again, we want to have that leadership stake in the ground to show that our brewers are doing, are thinking ahead and leading those trends. And sustainability is a big one right now. And another thing that is really being promoted for Canada is, you've all heard the over-tourism moniker that's happening. Under-tourism is now becoming a trend where people are going into remote destinations. Well, that also helps with our BC Ale Trail. We're sending people outside of those hot spots and into areas that they may not normally experience if they weren't on the trail. So that's a really good news story for us.
I think it's worth reminding people, because we were super proud of it. In the second year, we were nominated for a Canadian Tourism Award for the best marketing campaign. We didn't win. We were honored to be we were really mad that we didn't win. I won't lie. But here's who we were competing. The BC Ale Trail was a finalist, and we were competing against the City of Toronto for the NBA All-Star Game and the Calgary Stampede. So Toronto won. It was in Toronto. But we beat Calgary for sure. I don't know that for a fact. But I think that the power that we have here, are there other tools that you would offer or other partners that you can see working together in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, please reach out to us. We do webinars, how to work with the media. If you want to learn what it means to be part of a FAM trips, familiarization trips. So our job at Beattie Tartan is to work with those DMOs and make sure that they don't forget about the craft brewers when they're bringing media into the region and touring them around. We want to make sure that they build that into the experience. So we can also work with you to tell you, okay, what happens when you have a journalist show up at your door? How do you make sure that they get your story and you don't just become a small mention, you become actually a big part of the story of what their experience was like touring in Powell River or Whistler or Northern BC. So we can work with you and give you those hints and provide you with the materials to do that as well. I guess the biggest thing is we're here to work with you. And the more we can actually connect with you one-on-one, we love it. And we can and help you get the most out of that DMO relationship, because there's so many people that ignore the fact that they're talking to media every day, and you want to be part of their story. So we'd love to just really see that up a bit. We focus really on in our regional markets right now, because we all know friend of mine awareness is so important. So we wanted to make sure this region and the Cascadia region understood the BC Ale Trail existed, but we're now upping our game, and we want to have much more national press. We want to go into the U.S. market. We know that we've seen tourism just continually grow from those markets, not to mention our global markets. And we know that they will see huge value in the experiences that you offer at your breweries. So again, don't hesitate to reach out to Carol-Lynne. She'll bring me in. We'll get on a phone call, Skype call. We'll even drink a beer with you. So.
That's awesome. So as we said, originally we started with 7. They were self-guided tours. So, there was a leap of faith that those early adopters for us were able to say, yeah, we want to be involved in this. This is a great thing. But we had no way to let you know if we were driving any business to you. So this is really important to the DMOs and our members. But so we had to, what was the next evolution? So we were up and running. We had the success. We get nominated for these awards. And then what's the next piece? Well, the next piece was providing the metric. And so we worked with 468 Communications, which is Jacob Moore. And they were able to develop the metric, the BC Ale Trail app. And so we're going to show a video first. Yeah, we're going to show a video first. And then Jacob's going to walk you through the importance of the app. We knew we had a world-class food culture in BC. We knew we had a world-class wine culture, and we were definitely sure that we could develop into a world-class beer destination, and that's what's happened. And that was the idea behind the BC Ale Trail originally.
The beer scene community in Vancouver is so collaborative.
It was kind of a slow start for the North Shore, but it's definitely exploded, and the community is really, really welcoming to us. You can see from the growth on the Lower Lonsdale area there. And so it's just created a new avenue for people to get together and gather, have beers and chat, and just a greater sense of community.
I think that we're fortunate to be in an industry where collaboration is a thing. You don't see that in most other industries.
Because we have 116 breweries, we were able to attract people into the province, and whether it be staycation or cross-border or coming from out of province, people know that this is a hotbed for craft beer in Canada, and they're looking for exploration.
My name is Ben Zach. I'm from the States. I'm here for North Vancouver Craft Beer Week. Part of what's so great about this event is the contest that goes along with it. So I'm already doing something I want to do, which is going to all these events, trying all these different beers, but then also there's rewards that come with it. And so I've been to every event so far, so I'm really hoping to win the contest of getting the most points so I can get the great rewards that come along with that.
The app has really skyrocketed the awareness and given us something viable that we can feed back to our partners and say, no, this many people came into your establishment, into your brewery, and checked you out. And that's been a game changer for us, and that's recent. That's less than a year old.
Yeah, I'd really like to thank Vancouver's North Shore as well as BC Ale Trails just for putting this on. I think it's great that there's people who are willing to take the initiative to be able to organize an event like this or a series like this, because it brings people who love craft beers and gives them plenty of events as well as activities to do, but it also brings people who love craft brewing together to be able to collaborate and work together and be able to bring up this industry. And so it's been really, really really awesome what I've seen so far, and I can't wait for the rest of the week.
As I say, it's been a game changer, the whole way we've been able to use the app and the technology, and been able to, people really like the gamified aspect of it. I didn't think it was such a big deal, 10 points, like really? But when people really enjoy that part of it, and it's so easy, it just geolocates, you don't have to check in, you don't have to ask staff for a stamp, it just happens. And then when you redeem your rewards, it's super slick and super quick. You just put in a code and it's done. So we've been real happy with how that's developed for us. So people that know me know I have an incredibly high level of technical expertise. So I don't want to talk over your heads. So I'm going to have Jacob instead explain how the BC app works.
As Ken said, my name is Jacob Moore. I work with 468 Insider, and so happy to be here. Thanks for having me. So how the BC Ale Trail app works. So it starts by hitting the Explore button up, as you see on the screen there. It pulls up a list of all the ale trails. And then once you select that ale trail and are physically in a brewery, you're able to collect those points. And so as you continue to explore BC and go to those breweries, you can accrue more and more points. And then once you have enough points, you go back and then redeem those points for a discount on a good or service at those breweries.
So how are the trails, the individual trails, using the app?
So the trails are using the app to promote their breweries as well as give those statistics to the breweries. So the breweries, like you said in the past, they had no way of knowing how many people are coming in, how many people are visiting us. Now with this app, you're able to track, oh, look, this many people came on this day, this many people came this week. And it's really that statistics that data that is driving the future of BC in the craft beer scene here.
And what kind of take-up do we have? What kind of adoption rate do we have on people using the app?
So we actually launched the BC Ale Trail app last year at this conference, and it started with just one tester trail, the Victoria Ale Trail. And since then, BC Craft Brewers Guild and BC Ale Trails have added the 17 other trails. So we have 18 trails now, and the growth has just been exponential, as you can see on the screen here. So as of today, there's over 6,500 users of the app, and breweries have been visited over 33,000 times using the app.
And so how does the rewards, I said that it was really simple. I also admitted, and can't believe it didn't hit the cutting room floor, that I thought 10 points. Like, people do this? Yeah, they do. I have almost 600 points, by the way. But can you maybe just talk to us about how that works?
Yeah, so as I said before, you go around, you collect the points, and those build up in your account. And then once you're physically at a brewery and you look at their reward, you're like, okay, I want to get that. So you press the redeem button, a little code pops up, press the code, you give it to the person behind the counter, they put in the code, they give you that reward. So this is great for the breweries and the businesses and the trails, because now they're able to guide people in. People, you want to be, hey, let's go to that brewery because I want to get that reward. So it's a great way to incentivize people to come in your doors.
And you're also able to, we used that video was shot during the North Shore Craft Beer Week. And what's the effect of that? Because you can change it for your own events, right? You can offer other points.
Yeah.
So maybe explain that to everyone.
You're able to update the app in live time. So say you're putting on an event like 1 year anniversary, you're able to, for this today only, 25 points. So it's another incentive to get people in. And it's a great marketing tool that just builds to what the BC Ale Trail has already done with the website. And now the app is just another layer of how they can build that marketing machine.
And so that's the key kind of benefit right there, in your opinion?
I believe so, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect. And now we're going to move on to Kim Lawton, who many of you know is the marketing manager at Cannery in Penticton, and hosts a number of things in the beer industry, and probably is, not probably, without a doubt, is the gold standard of how to take the ability of the app and understand what its power is, and then take it to a whole other level that I wish we thought, yeah, that's exactly how it should work. But Kim is often, we're like, like I do with most things. That's a great idea, Kim. That's now my idea, and I will be telling people that. But we'll let Kim explain how they've really taken it to a different level.
Thanks, Ken. So as I'm going to talk about when I talk, we really were early adopters with the whole BC Ale Trail. And specifically with the app, when it came out, we were also early adopters. We were one of the first trails on the app. And all of our breweries in Penticton came on board with an offer right away. And I posted about it on our Cannery Brewing Facebook page, and a local media person contacted me and said, "What? Can you tell me more about this app?" So did an interview, and then actually was like, okay, I guess we should do a press release about this. And so got the word out. So we got some immediate news in our community about the app. And so got a lot of people to download the app right away. We followed up with a bunch of events that offered extra points, and we could talk about it during events so that people could actually download the app right then and there. It's free, so they could download it and get their bonus points right then and there on the spot. We had it in our newsletter, we had it in our social media, and people got excited about it. And, Ken talked in the video about the funny thing about, the 10 points. One day I'm at home and I get a notification that someone's checked in at Cannery Brewing, and it happens to be a friend of mine, and her post is, got 10 points going for 40. And so I text her and I'm like, what are you talking about? And she said, oh, I'm out with a bunch of friends. We're doing a walking trail and we're going to hit 4 breweries today, and I'm going for 40 points. And so that is the gaming part of it, right? That's sort of, it's fun and people are aspiring to collect points. And so for us at Cannery, we spent a lot of time talking about it. What is our reward going to be? And we decided to do something that's kind of valuable for people. So if they redeem 50 points, they get a Cannery branded glass. If they redeem 100 points, they get a Cannery branded bottle opener. And people are really excited about it, right? It's like $4 for a glass, right? It's Cannery branded glass. And they get this after they redeem 50 points. And people are excited about it, and they're talking about it, and they're like, I'm working on a collection of Cannery glasses, right? So for $4, we're building a relationship with this customer who's now becoming a loyal customer. They're coming in over and over again, and they're going to serve out of our Cannery glasses. Like, it's part of the storytelling that's making it really, really effective. So we found the app already to be really, really great for us in Penticton.
And would that be, is there examples that what's generated, because you guys are super active on it, what's generated the largest amount of result? Has there been one kind of program or is it just that what you've alluded to?
Yeah, I think it's that whole combination of things, right? Getting people to actually download the app, checking in as they go from brewery to brewery, getting the bonus points when they're doing events, and being excited that there's actually a reason to collect the points. You're not just collecting the points to say, I've got 600 points. You're collecting the points to say, I want to redeem these points for something of value.
Right. And certainly the Penticton, like in most communities, the breweries are very tight in the community. They spend a lot of time together. How do you work with, say, the DMOs or the other ancillary businesses?
I think we're going to skip back a minute to let Jacob finish his part, if that's okay.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Did I move along too quick?
We did, yeah. We sort of skipped into mine, but we're going to let Jacob.
I missed the rehearsal.
Basically.
Oh, there you go.
So during North Shore Craft Beer Week, I had the privilege to be there, and it was a really great experience to me to see just the collaboration that between the BC Ale Trail, the North Shore, Vancouver's North Shore, as well as the breweries there. So just the ability to see how each one of those pieces was bringing something to the table. So the breweries were bringing events to the table. The BC Ale Trail was using the app, which really tied it all together, and they tied it together through the ability to create a contest. So using the app with those metrics and that data, they were able to see who was attending the most events and who was going to the most breweries. So at the end of the week, Vancouver's North Shore was able to give out a prize to that top user of the app. So it's this sort of marketing materials that the app now allows, because it is tracking that data. It's a great experience for the user because they could attend an event like this and go for an award. And it's great for the BC Ale Trail because it's spreading that awareness and it's getting more people using the app. And so in terms of how that went, it went really, really well. Like I said, it was really cool to see that. It more than doubled the next highest ale trail during the week in terms of usage. So it shows that events like this and the collaboration really does work to drive usage of the app and bring people into those breweries. And then the final thing in terms of just what I personally believe are the top 3 benefits of the app for the brewery and for the ale trail as a whole. The first is that it really, like everyone has said, it's a marketing machine of the BC Ale Trails. The app is just another step of that. It allows to track data, to see where users are going, and then really meet users where they are. Because everyone is using their phone nowadays, so now they have the website, which is great to show the trails, give more information, but then you have the app itself, which acts as almost like a magnet to bring users into your breweries, which is really the key thing of getting them in, collecting points, learning more about you, and then redeeming those points for great rewards. And the second thing is it's a powerful tool for the breweries. So by being on the BC Ale Trail app, you are able to interact with your customers. Hey, like, thank your most loyal customers for coming in all the time by giving them rewards. But you're also able to incentivize people to come back. So like, hey, you haven't been in before. Did you know you can collect 10 points every time you come in? Then you can redeem it for this reward. And I think the final thing, which is most important about the BC Ale Trail, and as a whole, is just the collaboration. And seeing it in Vancouver's North Shore was incredible to see the 3 different groups of businesses working together. And the BC Ale Trail really epitomizes that collaboration, which is the future of the craft beer scene. And I think the app is the epitome of that collaboration.
Perfect. Hey, look, it's Kim Lawton. So she sets the goal. Oh, no. No rewind. Why don't you just start talking?
All right. We're in Penticton. We have 7 craft breweries in Penticton. We're in the heart of the Okanagan wine country. We've got one of the longer term festivals with Okanagan Festival, Oktoberfest, and Penticton Beer Run. When the press release first came out about the launch of BC Ale Trail, I immediately picked up the phone and called Joe, and I was like, what? Like, we want to be on this in Penticton. And we were 4 breweries in Penticton at the time, and we were already meeting and talking about how can we work together. And we were talking about what would we do? What would be our story? What would be our, our look, our feel, our tagline, all that sort of thing. And then the BC Ale Trail came along, and we're like, this is a perfect opportunity for us to do it. And here's the thing, we're in Penticton, we're 4.5 hours from Vancouver. We know no one's coming to Penticton to go to one brewery, right? They're coming to Penticton because there's a number of breweries to visit. They can also go to wineries, they can float down the channel, they can, climb the mountain, climb the bluffs at Skaha Bluffs, they can ride on the trails. And there's a whole experience for people, of which our craft beer and our craft brewery experiences are part of it. And so we knew that if we took the philosophy of all boats rise with the tide, and that is what we've really done when it comes to Penticton and the way that we all work together. We've made the decision to work together as Penticton Ale Trail. We all have our independent stories as well as breweries, but we've made the decision to come together and tell our story and amplify it in a bigger way, because there's 7 of us. And so that's kind of how it got started for us.
In terms of activations, can you give examples of what you've done and how successful they've been?
Yeah. So we really worked with the design team at The Number to do a number of things. So all of our breweries have stand-up banners. We've all got flags. We've got signage. We've got a number of materials that you can go into all of our breweries, and we all have this. So we're building this consistent look and feel across all of our breweries. We found from a very early on, once we announced the BC Ale Trail in Penticton, people wanted a physical piece. So we started out with just a really basic 8.5 by 11 map. And we give out so many of these. Hotels give these out. The visitor center, they constantly call me, I need more. So we started with that, and then we evolved into a passport program. So every brewery has passports available, the visitor center, and we actually got 10 other partners involved as well. So businesses that are connected to our brewery. So hotels, activities, brewery tour operators, that sort of thing. restaurants. So things that people want to do when they're in Penticton. And so they're involved as well. So there's 10 partners. So all 10 of those are also distributing these passports. We printed 10,000 and we've already gone through 10,000. Basically, we're at the very, very end. We're just reprinting them now. And it's used as a map, even for tourists. And people just sit around and they're like, oh, okay, well, what else should we do? And, I hear it all the time. I'm at the brewery and someone will say, oh, where should we go for lunch? And I'll just walk over with a map and what are you interested in? And I'll just have a little conversation with them about it. So then from there, we kind of evolved the passport. So it's a really simple, it's just a map, right? But there is a chance to tick off as you go to each of the breweries. So then after you visit the breweries, you just drop your completed passport in to the ballot box that every brewery has for a chance to win. And so it's a $500 prize pack. We do it once a quarter. And it's an opportunity to, again, showcase the partners. So there's a gift certificate for each of the breweries in there, but there's also stuff from other of our partners as well. So night stay at one of our local hotels and other things as well. So we've talked a lot about our local tourism bodies and how we work together. So I want to talk about how we work together with Travel Penticton. We work really, really well with Travel Penticton. And, we're 7 breweries in Penticton amidst 190 some odd wineries, right? So I'm constantly like, and breweries, right? And trying to just be a part of the story, right? And so one of the things that we did for this year is we partnered with Travel Penticton, and they go to a lot of shows, consumer shows, travel shows, outdoor adventure shows, all these places that are really good opportunities to showcase the Penticton Ale Trail and our Penticton breweries. And so we put together $500 Come to Penticton prize packages, and they use that as the draw at their consumer shows. So that's winner at one of the consumer shows getting their $500 prize pack. This is a Travel Penticton display at a consumer show, and you can see they're clearly focusing on Penticton Ale Trail, and it's a part of their storytelling. It's a part of their reason that they give to consumers as to why you want to come and visit Penticton, because we have a vibrant craft beer scene.
You've obviously had tons of success. Has it been easy?
Oh, I'm not there yet.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay.
Just two more little things.
We need a signal.
Okay, sorry. I wanted to give an example. This is kind of a real-life, tangible example. This is a 2-page spread that we did in the Growler magazine. And it was a story and an ad all rolled into one. And so Travel Penticton half funded this and the breweries half funded this. And we got a beautiful 2-page spread with encouragement to come to Penticton, visit our breweries, go to Festival. And for the cost, we could have had a couple of very tiny, small ads, or we could have a much bigger impact and tell the story. And so that was a good example, I think, of us working together. And then I had one other example. Carol-Lynne mentioned about photo shoots. And so we really needed some new photography. We didn't have photography at all that was going to work. We needed, Travel Penticton was using photos, but nothing had beer in it. So we wanted to have a bunch of photography of iconic things in Penticton with people enjoying beer. We wanted to have some really nice product shots that were consistent across all of our breweries. We had 5 breweries at this time, so each brewery contributed $50. I took that $50 per brewery, $250. Travel Penticton matched it, so we were now up to $500. Went to Carol-Lynne and matched that with Destination BC funds to get $1,000. So it cost each brewery $50, and we got a $1,000 photo shoot out of it. So now we have a Dropbox with a couple hundred photos that we can use, each individual brewery can use, Travel Penticton can use, and now Travel Penticton is using the photos from our photo shoot in ways that they're using to help promote visits to Penticton for $50 a brewery. Okay, on-site activations. That's where I'm at, Ken. On-site activations. Okay, so we've taken our Penticton Ale Trail on the road a couple of times. We've done a couple of different tap takeovers. We've done tap takeovers in Kamloops and we've done tap takeovers in Vancouver. But the biggest one we did was when we went to Calgary this year in May. So we went as Penticton Ale Trail to Calgary Beer Fest. We at Cannery have been going to Calgary Beer Fest. We typically have a 10 by 10, right? We went, 13 of us. We had 1,000 square feet. So we had a huge section. We had a tap trailer. We poured 8 Penticton beers, and we had a lounge. We had games. Travel Penticton came with us to the event. The Penticton Beer Run came with us to the event. So we did this as a partnered event. So a whole lot of people that might have just kind of walked by our little 10 by 10, we engaged people and we kept them in our booth. And part of the way that we did that is we did this little mini passport. So we have our big passport. This is what you're going to experience when you come to Penticton. But we just did a little mini passport for at the festival and encouraged people to get a beer from each of the breweries and then use this as a chance to win a prize. So then we had beer pong, and Travel Penticton ran the beer pong, and then you got a chance to win some prizing, which was pretty cool. And people hung out for a long time in our section because we also had games and this lounge area and high top tables and that sort of thing. So it was really cool. And we got a lot of feedback this summer from people that were like, oh yeah, we saw you guys in Calgary at the Calgary Beer Fest. For us, this was a really, really big thing. It was a huge investment of dollars. It was a huge investment of resources. We spent 13 people from Penticton to the festival. But to put it in perspective, we have 37,000 people that live in Penticton. 40,000 people went through the Calgary Beer Fest in 2 days, right? So it's just a huge, huge opportunity. And by us working together, it really allowed us to amplify our message. And all 13 of us were working at the booth. We had people, everyone had assigned spaces, and we were talking to people and mingling and inviting them to talk about the opportunity to come to Penticton, or helping them remember when they came when they were a kid, about what it was like when they were in Penticton, encouraging them to come back again. How engaged are the breweries in our region? They're very engaged. We have regular meetings. We have a Slack channel. We have safety meetings. We are committed to this. We're working together on this, and we're committed to telling our story and getting the awareness out about Penticton Ale Trail. You can see it when you look at the amplification of our messages. You can see Penticton Ale Trail 740 posts. It's because we're all using that same hashtag, right? And then same thing, we use Penn City Beer as a second one. And one thing I wanted to say, when I forgot to mention about Calgary, is we all wore these T-shirts, Life's Better in Penticton. So we were all really clear when we were going to Calgary for Calgary Beer Fest, we were going as Penticton Ale Trail. We weren't wearing our individual brewery hats. We were wearing our Penticton Ale Trail hats first, and second, we were wearing our individual brewery hats. Has it been easy? No, it hasn't been easy. It's not been easy. It's hard. It's extra meetings. It's meetings at times when you don't have time. You're busy with your own business, but we do it and we get stuff figured out. Everyone jokes that I'm the cat herder, and I try to get all seven breweries to agree to things. And sometimes you have to make a decision that's right for the group and not necessarily right for your individual brewery. Not all 7 of our breweries had beer in Calgary. It didn't necessarily make sense for them. It's not their market, but it made sense for the collective group. And there is some extra work in writing grants and so forth. There is extra work, but is it worth it? It is worth it. We were named second best beer town in Canada by Expedia.ca. This is the second year in a row that we made this list, and we're like a little tiny town, right? 37,000 people. So that was pretty cool. Ask Men, they named Penticton as the only Canadian city on the list of 10 best destinations for beer enthusiasts. We were a nominee in the Penticton Chamber Business Excellence Awards in the Tourism Excellence category. And a couple of unexpected things that came this year because of the way that we're working together. Ironman is coming back to Penticton after a hiatus, and Ironman in the city of Penticton planned a major announcement event, and we were invited to be at that. And so we had a beverage garden at this, and typically this would have been something where there would have been a wine garden, right? But it was they didn't actually have wine at it. It was just Penticton Ale Trail. So that was kind of an unexpected thing, and it's because we're working together, and we're making it easy for people. And this is another example. We were at the Peach City Beach Cruise, which has been around for 30-some, I don't know, a long time in Penticton, and they've typically had mass commercial beer at it. And this year I got the call, hey, could we do Penticton Ale Trail? And so we did, and it was a great opportunity for them to look good and showcase our local breweries, and for our breweries to be able to, have beer to all of these people coming in from out of town. And I just want to kind of wrap it up with, if you want to, in your brewery or your region, take the BC Ale Trail opportunity to the next level, what would I recommend that you do? Number one is meet with the other breweries in your area and figure out what your common goals are. They're all not going to be the same, but figure out what your common goals are, see where those overlaps are. Meet with your local tourism body. So they're telling your story, but work with them so that you're telling the same story and they're telling it in the same tone that you are. And remind them, right? They've got competing stakeholders too. All the other tourism related products in your community are all competing with you. So work with them to remind everybody of the story. Create consistent messaging and amplify it across your whole ale trail. Train your teams on the communication. So the other breweries brought me in to talk about Penticton Ale Trail. I work for Cannery, and I went into other breweries and did trainings with their teams to talk about that consistent message. And my one piece of advice is assign one person to lead, to be the lead on it, so that you don't have to go by consensus. Have that person, make that person be the one that gets the consensus.
Excellent. You did a much better job than I did. We're pressed to time, but I assume there's going to be some questions. So would you like maybe 5 minutes of questions? If there is questions, I'm going to assume, but maybe I should never assume. Anyone have a question? Oh, we've got the experts here. Yes.
I'm just curious. My husband is Sherwood Mountains Brewery, and they are part of the BC Ale Trail, but I don't know much about it. I'm just curious about how much it costs, and are there different levels, or is it just one?
I love your Pilsner so much. The brewery baseline investment typically in the first year is about $750 into the BC Ale Trail itself. And you do have to be a member of the BC Craft Brewers Guild also, which Sherwood is. In subsequent years, it drops down to $500. So right now, as I mentioned in my whole timing spiel, we're talking to the DMOs last month and this month. We're submitting the application to Destination BC at the end of November. So we're getting all of the DMOs and breweries on board now so that we can put in that application and the budget and then see those dollars matched. So does that answer the question enough?
I think so.
Yeah?
Basically one fee from the brewery.
Yeah. For the whole year. And we can pay in installments a couple times a year, 4 times a year. Sometimes when you're new, you're focused on your business, and we want to make it easy for you guys. So, yeah.
And what we've decided to do, we used to have, because of the cycle, we used to bill in May, which is really confusing because we billed in January and then in May again. So this year we've held off the billing for the most part. We will be billing in January. So you'll have a membership renewal fee, and then you'll have a BC Ale Trail fee if you're on the tour, on the trails. And that way, and then as we said, it's flexible payments. So if you want to do it quarterly or something, that's totally fine. But that money all gets rolled into the bigger number that gets matched by. So now we're up to, the example of the $50 becomes $1,000. Well, in our case, the $320,000 becomes $700,000, whatever. So.
I just want to add, too, that it's best the breweries do have a relationship with the destination marketing organization, your tourism association, because some of them have stakeholder models where you're paying into it already, and in that case, we wouldn't be double dipping on you. And some cases our membership model are different. So we do our best to be flexible so that we're not gouging. It's just a matter of having an investment at all is really what we're after, because you're contributing to that baseline so that we can have the whole year-long campaign, bringing tourism, bringing awareness about your stories and amplifying that. that. And then, as I mentioned earlier, add-on tactics such as the print map, the brochure, additional photography, the Untapped contest. All that stuff is something that you could even just go to your DMO and say, we brewers want to do this. Here's how much we can fork over. You should put in too, and then submit it in the application via me.
Yeah, we encourage the brewers to be members of their local DMOs. Don't encourage, that's part of the program, really. Yes, Josh?
I have two questions. I think they go different people. One is to do with the broader campaign. You mentioned, I think it runs, is it May or April?
It runs the provincial fiscal year. So the dollars are spent from April 1st to March 31st, and the application for that year is submitted the November prior.
So I guess my question is, with that media that's applied, can you tell me, is there periods of time that media, or is it a constant vibe for the year? The only reason I ask this is if anybody else in there that follows the seasonality of breweries, October, November, January, February, we get hit really hard, and if we could double down messaging in those periods, no problem in summer, lots of people drinking beer in summer.
Yeah.
Is there a way that we can increase the frequency, or is that already the case, to really go hard in those periods where people need the sales to support?
So one of the things I didn't mention or talk about was the social media community management and the blog content. And so that content is being produced year-round from all different avenues. So if you have a writer in your region, or if you have a story idea, you can email media@bcaletrail.ca and give us tips about that. You can put your events in the BC Ale Trail calendar, and when you submit something to the calendar, it gets on the calendar, and it also flags the content team. So I know I'm only kind of going towards your question in a roundabout way, but the tourism sector sort of over here is also focusing on disbursement and shoulder seasons as well. So they know that there's some busy times and there's some less busy times, and we're trying to create a balance throughout the year in terms of showcasing content.
Yeah, I guess the content I get, and I guess great for consistency, I guess, is there periods of the year where there's more activity happening on the BC Ale Trail, and could that be aligned with where breweries really need activity? Sure, it's very nice in summer, and but hey, you probably have a slow season come winter time as well.
One
need that I would say.
Yeah. One of the things, so Kamloops, Shuswap, Vernon Ale Trail last year we produced a winter ale trail. So we're launching that in mid-November. So that's something that was an add-on tactic that was created so that we'll be able to market them in the colder season.
This is some of the stuff that and I know you've got another question. This is some of the stuff the feedback that we've heard when we're going around to the town halls and getting feedback and being on calls. Fernie has the same issues. The East Kootenays West Kootenays has the same issues. So that's good feedback. And your second question?
Come and talk to me after. I'm wearing this all day, so I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the second one I think is a PR question. A lot of PR, I know, lines of DMOs mandate, which is a lot of external people coming in, which is great. A lot of those people tend to be more.
Yeah, and that's actually been our mandate, is to focus on those local short haul markets, but even regional residents, because they're that word of mouth that is so important. When their friends say, hey, I'm coming into town, what are we going to do? And you go, hey, let's go on the Ale Trail. So that is still vitally important for us. And when you look on the page that's on the website and you see the kind of pickup we've gotten recently, it is all local media, typically around the regions. The only reason why I'm saying we want to go a little bit more national is because even locals read that, the National, the Globe, and if we're in there tends to be like, oh, I didn't know it was such a big deal. We get in the New York Times, you bet you're going to get locals coming in if they hear about it. And then the local media tend to pick up the fact that the Ale Trail is getting this sort of international, national press. So for us, it's about building trust in the brand and the experience. But and that's why, again, we really need your stories, because we'd love to continue, and we will continue to be promoting those to your local markets. For each Ale Trail has a separate plan that we try and do.
I'd actually like to jump on this one as well. I think, don't come over here so I can look at you. I think using the app as well really helps with that, as creating it like a customer loyalty program. So hey, we recognize you come in often, keep coming back in so you can keep getting those points, and then you can redeem it for X reward. So that's another way that you can get local people to continue to come back in.
And there are branded coasters. There are branded coasters with the incentive to download the app that we can ship and print more of and give to your breweries.
We're going to look, part of the funding that we talked about from Western Diversification is to create sales tools, and those sales tools will be probably more specifically addressing the locals. I would encourage, we have some members, I'm not sure how many, but some guys I'll do the reward every 72 hours. Well, I don't understand that from a customer service point of view. You want to reward the guy to come in every day, if that's the thing, because it's $4 for a glass. Like that you'll keep that customer forever. So that's some of the stuff that we're looking to move forward with for sure. Probably time. Oh yeah. We have addressed that at this moment, and we're looking to try to figure out how we can figure that piece out. It might involve kind of New West, the New West Burnaby, the New West Delta Surrey Trail is kind of inconsistent, to be honest. And we're also looking to bring Burnaby into the fold, so we're trying to, maybe it's above the river and below the river.
Yeah.
Not at this moment. It'll be into next year. Yeah.
We are working really hard to have those conversations with the tourism organizations because their baseline investment is more significant than the brewery investment. So that's where going to your DMO and saying, get involved and like put me on CC, give me their information. We are reaching out. We have a relationship with POCO, and we're doing everything we can to create a really great consumer experience for the breweries to then be on the trail and get involved.
The most recent launch was Maple Ridge, and the breweries came together, the ancillary businesses came together, and the driving force, they went and they worked from the start of the idea all the way through with their tourism piece, and it was a spectacular launch, to be honest. There was a question up there. Paul Hatfield tell you to ask that question? We have, and part of the great thing about Maple Ridge coming online is I got to spend some quality time in a helicopter with Minister Bear, who is the tourism minister, and we had a long discussion about highway signage. There is a pilot project that is kind of, it hasn't gone as fast as we'd hoped. They were going to do a pilot project between Schwartz Bay and Victoria and just see how that would go. But the government, certainly Minister Bear, is very proactive on that and going to help us lean into it, as they like to say, as is the Minister of Agriculture, because this is buy local business right here. So we are on it. We've been on it for a long time, but we're going to step that up. Global Public Affairs, our public affairs company, is working with us on that messaging. And I think that is it. It's lunchtime. Beer is now being served. I just want to thank the panel for joining us. And as you heard, in lieu of some sort of prize that you'll maybe want or not want, we have put a donation in your name to the BC Hospitality Foundation, directly actually to the Nancy Moore Scholarship. So your time spent here is going to benefit the future brewers. Thank you.